With this question, we're writing a generator that, given a list that describes a binary tree of integers, returns the value at the root of the leaves. Now let's look at the code we're given and see what we automatically know we're going to need. Off the bat, we know that this function is going to be a generator, which means we're going to need a yield statement somewhere. And none of these lines can fit a yield statement except the last one. So let's write down yield and we can figure out what we're going to be yielding later. Now what should we focus on? Well, the bulk of this function seems to be on this for loop, so let's do that. We're going to be iterating over something, and your first instinct might be the list S. After all, we're going to need to yield its elements. But if I is going to be an element of the list, then look inside the for loop. The fact that we're calling a function on 2 times I plus 1 should hint to you that I doesn't refer to the elements of the list, but rather the index of the list. That means we're going to have range length S, and we're going to be yielding Si. Lastly, we need to make sure that we're only yielding leaf values, so this if statement should filter out any non-leaves. The question then is, how do we know if a binary tree is not a leaf? Simple, it has to have branches. We'll write into this if statement Si is not none, because if you look at the doc tests, none is not considered a leaf. But wait, this doesn't really filter out non-leaves. That's because the filtering happens with this f function. So let's fill out f. We know that if f is a one-line function, then it has to be a lambda form. And because we're passing in only one argument, it's going to look something like lambda x. So when do we want this function to be true? Well, when the index is a leaf, and it's going to be a leaf when its branches are empty trees. And when does an index give an empty tree? Well, let's look back at question A. We can just copy this, and then our lambda function will work. If you understand the logic in part A, you should be able to understand it here now. Now everything's filled out, and we're done. On to the next question.